सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखात् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। The meaning of this Sanskrit scripture is, may all be prosperous and happy.
India is a force to reckon with. That was Modi's message to the world since Results Day 2014.
What is spirituality? Uplifting. May no one suffer. Om, peace, peace, peace.
After bowling over the Indian electorate, he wanted to be the hero abroad.
So it is but natural that we look back at Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first year in government with a special focus on his foreign policy at a time when he is engaged in his most critical interactions here in China.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि
And the diplomacy started on day one itself, with an invite sent out to all SAARC heads of state for the Modi government's swearing in.
और हमारे विदेशी मेहमान सार्क देशों के नेता जो आज इस शपथ ग्रहण समारोह के मौके पर यहाँ मौजूद रहे.
I think it's one of the rare examples in the history of world diplomacy that on the very day of the oath taking ceremony by the Prime Minister and his team of ministers, we had the heads of state from all the SAARC countries, including from Pakistan. And ever since then, there has been a conscious initiative on the part of Indian government under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to have good neighbourly relationship with all the countries in the region. And I think that is something which is now being recognized, acknowledged by the other nations of the world as well.
What followed was Modi jetting across the globe, but even there, his guiding mantras were neighbourhood first, act east.
Nearly 1 year since Mr. Modi became the Prime Minister of India. And what a difference this 1 year has made. Earlier, people hardly used to hear of the Prime Minister of India, even when he travelled abroad. Mostly his interactions were on a low key, on a low pursuit basis. Last 1 year has seen a whirlwind in action globally. He has interacted with other leaders on an equal basis. He has interacted with them on a confident basis, and he has set the agenda. So I think on all these accounts, Mr. Modi has been successful in what he started with, which was to build the brand India in a new image, in a new shape. And that brand India is a confident new India.
The big one though was the USA visit. Long ignored by America, denied a visa since 2005, he wanted to make a statement, riding on the strength of 282. And make a statement he did, with what can safely be called a rock star reception, both by the American government and the Indian diaspora.
अमेरिका में बसे हुए मेरे प्यारे भाइयों और बहनों, मेरे देशवासी जिन्होंने हजारों मील दूर यहां रह करके भारत की इज्जत को बढ़ाया है,
In fact, this was a phenomenon that was to be repeated from the US to Australia to Germany to Canada.
He's here in the building now!
Wherever he went, Indians abroad seemed to want more of Modi, and he obliged.
One of the biggest achievements of Prime Minister's visits abroad is that it has added to the self-esteem of the common man of India, and the manner in which he's been received, the kind of enthusiasm with which people have been coming forward to listen to him, has given an average Indian an opportunity and occasion to raise his head and say, look here, I am an Indian. This is something which was missing for the last 10 years or so, and I think it was very urgently required. So that special esteem or the feeling of confidence among a common Indian is something which is a single most important contribution made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visits abroad. In addition, during most of these visits, it is India which has managed to carry forward its agenda.
He goes out and makes political speeches there. He talks about scam India is turning into skilled India, right? He says things which I think a Prime Minister should not be saying. Now, how do I judge the success of a visit abroad? That you're invited, people are invited, Prime Ministers say, yeah, we will come, but it takes years to put a program together because there is a lot to do at home, and there is a lot to do at home now.
Within months, news broke that Obama would be the chief guest at India's Republic Day celebrations. If any more of a validation was needed, this was it. The body language, the camaraderie on camera showed the visit was more about chemistry than mere diplomacy.
मेरी और बराक के बीच में वो दोस्ती बन गई है। उस खुलेपन के कारण हम आराम से फोन पे बात कर लेते हैं, हम आराम से गप मार लेते हैं, हंसी मजाक कर लेते हैं। इस केमिस्ट्री ने मुझको और बराक को तो निकट लाया ही है, वॉशिंगटन और दिल्ली को भी निकट लाया है, लेकिन अमेरिका की जनता और हिंदुस्तान की जनता को भी निकट लाया है।
I recognized India with the first state visit of my presidency, where we also danced to some pretty good Bhangra. For the first time, we brought Diwali to the White House. On our last celebration here, we celebrated the Festival of Lights in Mumbai. We danced with some children. Unfortunately, we were not able to schedule any dancing this visit. Señorita, bude, desho me. You know what I mean. So,
The cherry on top was this Time magazine article about Modi by Barack himself that came as a ringing endorsement of the Indian Prime Minister.
The other thing which is remarkable in this last 1 year has been the recognition by foreign leaders, because you may make all the efforts, but if there is no reciprocity and if there is no recognition of your efforts by others, then it's an effort wasted. The greatest testimony to that is a personal endorsement, a personal note written by President Obama in the Time magazine praising Mr. Modi unreservedly and in fulsome manner. So I think last 1 year has seen Mr. Modi's efforts succeed enormously in terms of building brand India and, if I may add, also brand Modi.
And I'm glad our Prime Minister is putting all his efforts in meeting with international leaders, conveying India's position as a democracy, a successful democracy, which our history has shown, and with the youth so qualified, so aspiring to prove to the world that they're capable, and above all, a successful market which can take all the investment, and also, because the market exists, many of the products which we want, we can get from any part of the world. With all this, I think India is getting its due recognition because of a clear-headed and assertive leadership, which is in Sri Narendra Modi. And therefore, Prime Minister's visit abroad has all these dimensions, and as a result of which, I think India's stature in the world, in the Committee of Nations, is high and above, and I'm happy for that.
But not all was happiness and sunshine. On the last day of his India visit, the US president seemed to have thrown cold water on the bonhomie so far by talking about growing religious intolerance in India.
and we remember the wisdom of Gandhiji, who said, "For me, the different religions are beautiful flowers from the same garden, or they are branches of the same majestic tree. The peace we seek in the world begins in human hearts, and it finds its glorious expression when we look beyond any differences in religion or tribe and rejoice in the beauty of every soul." And nowhere is that more important than India. Nowhere is it going to be more necessary for that foundational value to be upheld. India will succeed so long as it is not splintered along the lines of religious faith.
Michelle and I returned from India, an incredible, beautiful country, full of this magnificent diversity, but a place where in past years religious faiths of all types have, on occasion, been targeted by other peoples of faith simply due to their heritage and their beliefs. Acts of intolerance that would have shocked Gandhiji, the person who helped to liberate that nation.
This was followed by the annual report of the US Commission on International Religious Freedom in May this year that damned India for growing intolerance towards Christians and Muslims by the right-wing groups since the 2014 elections.
As an unfortunate remark, but reflective of reality of his times. And sadly for Prime Minister Modi, he is in the saddle.
It is an extremely serious matter that the head of a state, who was your chief guest on the Republic Day, if he articulates concerns about religious freedoms in India, a country which has been known for its diversity, for its tolerance, for its pluralism, which has given the entire concept of Sarv Dharm Sambhav equal respect for all faiths to the world, for that country to be at the receiving end of this kind of criticism because you have a government which has Nathuram Godse's DNA intrinsic to their entire political philosophy, makes me hang my head as an Indian in shame.
And who can forget this? The pinstripe suit with the PM's own name monogrammed into it. Even as the Obama visit was underway, Modi came in for much derision for reducing a diplomatic engagement into a PR exercise.
With the US vote, Modi's attention is now naturally on a country with whom India vies the battle for the title of the Asian superpower. Those skirmishes in the India-China border are not as virulent as before. China continues to keep India off kilter when it comes to its foreign policy vis-a-vis Pakistan. Not to mention the string of pearls and the strategic encirclement of India, which is being continuously bolstered.
The relationship that was once famously described as troublesome acne by a former External Affairs Minister may just have been swung slightly in India's favour. Or so were indications when Chinese President Xi Jinping visited Gujarat, then Delhi. 12 landmark deals were signed, including one that will see China investing $20 billion in Indian infrastructure over 5 years. But even as both leaders spoke of peace along the border, came reports of Chinese incursions at Demchok in Ladakh and their attempt to construct a road into Indian territory across the LAC in Chumar.
I think we've had it's a great step forward. You had some great photographs and some great selfies that we have seen from China. But the real issues from China have not been addressed. The government of India has given e-visas to the Chinese tourists. Well, what about China accepting? It is a quid pro quo as far as diplomacy is concerned. We have given them e-visas. At least they should consider Arunachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir as parts of India. Why didn't Prime Minister at least force that issue? We have heard and we have seen some agreements on business parks being opened, but the deficit is so huge between balance of trade between us is something like 75% to 25%. I think that is something we still haven't been able to close.
But other than Modi's equations with individual countries, what really stood out was the kind of goodwill that India has earned because of its missions abroad. Be it its work in strife-torn Yemen, the kind of work it did to rescue its own nationals and nationals from 32 other countries, including America and Pakistan. Or be its work in Nepal, the country was hit by a devastating earthquake and India jumped in to provide rescue and relief work.
But Pakistan remained a conundrum even for the Narendra Modi government. After an aggressive rhetoric against Pakistan during his election campaign, Modi extended a hand of friendship to the country by inviting its premier to his swearing-in ceremony along with other SAARC heads of state, followed by the proposal of foreign secretary-level talks between India and Pakistan. But then, Pakistan decided to do the unthinkable. The country's envoy to India decided to hobnob with Kashmiri separatists before the foreign secretary-level talks, leading an angry India to tell them, thus far and no further. Meanwhile, border skirmishes increased, leading several civilians along the border in India to be displaced. Ceasefire violations by Pakistan also claimed civilian lives. India, though, also inflicted heavy damage to the Pakistani side, but Modi's peace initiative seemed to be a distant memory by now, especially in the aftermath of the Uri terror attack in December. But then, things took a sudden turn. Not only did India send its new Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar on a tour of SAARC countries, including Pakistan, but also followed that up with participating in Pakistan Day celebrations, duly represented by MOS External Affairs VK Singh.
Are you trying to share stage with the separatists today? Sir, are you trying to share stage with the separatists today?
A celebration where the Pakistani envoy played host to the same separatists, a meeting with who had been considered impossible just over 6 months ago. So what remains the Modi government's Pakistan policy as of today? With marked successes on most fronts, from the United States to Europe, has Modi failed to decode our most problematic neighbor? And what changed in 6 months? Is it a case of domestic compulsions influencing foreign policy, with the BJP forming a coalition government with the pro-Pakistan PDP in Jammu and Kashmir? We take a closer look at that in the next episode of our special broadcast of Modi's first year in government, Modi 365.